Oh my God, the Paris Hilton of it all.
You know, when I tell you I don't care about a goddamn thing in these episodes, this could have been a 42-minute 2020.
But we're going to have fun.
We always have fun. I'm just saying this could have been a 42-minute episode of something. It's 3 hours. So we're doing 2 episodes.
Hi, Julia Benzavalli.
Hi, Patrick Hines.
Fam, as Julia was saying, we are doing these 3 episodes of The Curse of the Von Dutch in 2 episodes. So it's the thing we do sometimes where episode 1, you're listening to it.
Yes.
Episode 2 is live right now at the $5 level, ad-free on the Patreon.
Yes.
It'll also be the regular episode next week. So if you just got to hear about like what happens on the second half of this nonsense.
It is a wild ride.
It is a wild ride. And
start to finish.
The murder is what happens like in the last 10 minutes of this thing, and it is wild.
There are a couple murders throughout.
Yeah, that's true.
It's real bad.
Fam, if you want more Jillian and me, join us on the Patreon. It's where you get, 350 full ad-free bonus apps.
Oh, yeah, at the very least. That Gacy thing on Peacock,
yeah.
Bad Vegan,
Yes.
Murder Among the Mormons, Heaven's Gate, The Vow, Tiger King.
Hey, Serial Season 1 if you want to revisit the stuff that's been in the news lately.
Yeah, I don't know, because Adnan is out!
Adnan is free! Also, follow us on TikTok. If you want to see the fun recorded moments of the episodes, follow us on the TikTok.
Yeah.
It's True Crime Obsessed Pod.
Great.
Join our Facebook group, True Crime Obsessed Podcast Discussion Group. The bonus there is you get to meet like 50,000 cool other friends.
Yeah.
And it's like a fun place to decompress and share true crime stories and talk about the episodes and just like share your dog pics.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just saying yeah and agreeing with you a lot, but everything you're saying is facts, so I really can't argue with you.
Well, you look perfect today.
You look perfect today.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, girl, what are we talking about today?
I like when we aggressively compliment each other. Anyway, you look great. No, you look great.
You look great.
Listen to me. You look phenomenal. Like $1 million.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We are talking about The Curse of the Von Dutch, A Brand to Die For. 3 episodes on Hulu. To me, this is like Sasquatch 2.0. It feels like the Sasquatch thing, which was also on Hulu.
Talk about Paris Hilton like that.
Hey, I didn't say anything of the sort.
Von Dutch was iconic for Y2K fashion. Trucker caps, jeans, jackets. That was like our uniform, basically.
They didn't know how to run a business. It was really a facade.
Come, my lady, come.
Everybody on the planet had Von Dutch.
Sugar, baby.
That hat, it was like crack to the streets.
You're awesome. Me go crazy.
I started hanging out with Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee.
Money was rolling in.
North of $1 billion.
Tons of girls in block parties.
Champagne.
Private jet.
Paris jumps out of a cake.
The things that you dream about doing, I got to do.
All these cars and homes.
It was such an amazing achievement. The difficulty was one of the co-founders was charged with first-degree murder.
Get ready, because in the art of war, anything goes.
Come, my lady, come.
All right, girl. So we're starting with episode 1. It's called Who Created Von Dutch?
Well, depending on who you ask, any number of people.
I know I've been talking about Paris Hilton a lot. My first note here is I'm just not really in the mood for Paris Hilton today, which is good because she's only in this for about 5 minutes.
Right. This was promoted like it was Paris Hilton telling the story of the fall of that shitty Von Dutch brand.
Yeah.
That's why everyone tuned in.
I thought the Von Dutch brand was pretty sexy. And I gotta tell you, until we find out. So we learned, like, eventually, we'll get there in a minute, that, like, the Von Dutch situation was actually built on an artist. I didn't know that. So, like, this artist who, like, made cool, irreverent, like, logos and paintings and race cars and shit.
He's a hot rod legend. He was what was called a garage surrealist. He had that something about himself where he was a magnetic figure. He was as cool as it gets. And he had a dark sense of humor. If he were to draw somebody, if he had a meat cleaver stuck in his forehead, that would be a nice addition.
Before we find out what we find out about this guy, I was looking up, like, original artwork by him.
Don't get too attached to him. Piece of shit.
Don't get attached. Yeah.
Piece of shit.
This whole thing starts with the producer tossing the Von Dutch hats
to
at
everybody.
All of
we need 1,000 people.
I'm like, they went for a look here. They thought that was going to look real cool.
Yeah, because it is a little bit of a time machine, much like the soundtrack is a time machine. But there's something about, like, they get thrown the hat and they're like, whoa.
I know.
And then by the end of it, they're like, give me that hat back.
I know.
They actually asked for the hat
Von
back.
Dutch hats were cool. Did you not like them? I thought the Von Dutch brand was pretty sexy.
It was okay.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. It didn't really...
It wasn't just like plain black.
Yeah, that was a major issue I had with Abercrombie, aside from the racism. You couldn't just get something that just was like plain.
I know. There are definitely some Abercrombie vibes in this one.
Big time.
Don't you think?
A lot of gatekeeping.
Totally. Not enough gays, though. You would think there'd be more gays in this app. I didn't see nary a one.
Because they knew.
They do.
They knew right away. Not falling for this
gays,
shit.
I gotta say, the Von Dutch look was very hot.
Well, so we meet 1,000 people. They're all getting thrown Von Dutch hats. But we meet a lawyer who just says to us, everything was great. The one small problem is that he was charged with first-degree murder. And I'm like, holy shit.
Not the lawyer to
No,
talk.
that's the quote. Everything was totally fine.
Yeah.
One small snag.
He was charged
with first-degree murder.
But like the whole point of this episode is like who invented this brand. So we meet this guy Ed Boswell, and I hate Ed too. And the first thing he says is,
yeah. So everybody knows the story of Von Dutch clothing, the phenomena that happened with it. And not too many people know what happened behind the scenes and under the surface.
Everyone knows the story of Von Dutch. I was like, no, girl.
He also says, greetings, Andre Voodoo. Ed? Ed wants to do this interview lying down in bed because it's all just too much. But he didn't clean.
That's kind of how I wanted to do this day.
Yeah.
You
but
know?
you would have, I would think, like straightened up a little bit.
Maybe.
Ed's like, hey, he thinks this is like funny and quirky and charming and cute.
Yes.
It's not. But he doesn't clean up at all before the crew gets there.
Wait, that means he would probably have a little sign that says,
bless this mess.
God bless this
mess. Oh, sorry. Well, if you're blessing it, who does it really matter who's doing it?
Goddess bless this mess.
But what, I don't know, clearly you missed this.
What?
Because as he's like taking the blanket off the bed, there's like a bottle of something that is it lube? Is it lotion? I don't know, but I hate it all.
Oh no!
And the camera like kind of zooms in on it, but like doesn't want to make a thing about it.
Can you imagine the situation where you realize you just had some personal time and forgot to like remove
Ed doesn't care.
Bottle of lube before the documentary
He wanted everyone to see it. Ed is a legend in his own mind and only his own mind. Ed, enough. But we have to spend like a lot of time with Ed.
I do also like appreciate that we do get a moment with him where he's getting a COVID test.
And he's like, hey, watch the nostril. And the way the nurse goes, what happened? Like, what now, Ed? The nurse has been there 4 minutes and Ed's already had a problem with everything and a story for days. What happened?
Be careful with the left.
What happened?
I was stabbed with a pencil by a crazed Filipino.
She's like, fine, we'll do the other one. She's unfazed by this, and I love her for it.
I know. So, but we learned about the real Von Dutch guy. His name was Kenneth Howard. They say he was a hot rod legend and a garage surrealist.
Yeah, whatever the hell
What's
that
a
means.
garage surrealist, girl?
I can't say spoilers if I say what it really is.
Yeah, that's true.
But he was as cool as it gets, says Ed.
Well, they want us to think of him as like a Jackson Pollock type.
Sure.
But
like hot rods and like garage culture, meaning like he just spent a lot of time in garages like working on cars.
Which they keep saying that as though like that's a thing. Like they talk about how like he painted the lightning bolts on the cars.
That was a big thing like a long time ago.
How do you know?
Because like the 50s and I saw a little movie
Grease
called
once?
Grease and Grease 2. Okay, I am an expert. But no, like hot rods,
Grease lightning, go, Grease lightning.
That song's not for kids.
No.
Grease 2 is a better movie. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is.
But you know what the best movie musical of them all?
Which one?
Newsies.
Oh, of course.
Open the gates and seize the day.
Whoa, where'd that go? I went up and...
Don't be afraid and don't delay.
Oh, I don't know where we are here.
It can break us.
No one can make us give our rights away.
Here we go.
Arise and seize the day. The movie's better than the musical.
1,000,000%.
I will die on that hill.
Me too.
I know. I have friends who were in the original company. So sorry. The movie's better.
The movie is better.
So Ed is our curmudgeon here, and he's very proud of it. He hates everything. He's mad at everything.
I'm in good company, I feel like.
Yeah, please. You're nothing like Ed. Ed wants everyone to know that...
Eventually, the line drifted away from the spirit of Von Dutch, and it was just a Paris Hilton-fueled celebrity line. They went the total glitter Hollywood look. If Von Dutch would have been around, he would have blown the shop up, for sure. He would have hated it.
The spirit of Von Dutch was destroyed by Paris Hilton and the rest of Hollywood. Ed, take a breath.
I gotta say, though, that it was a revelation to find out that, like, Von Dutch wasn't just created by a Paris Hilton type.
Sure.
When we meet the people who did build this company, there was a lot of thought put into why break the silence of the universe, as Steve always says. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool, and it was very beautiful.
Because Ed says the real Von Dutch would have hated Paris Hilton. I don't know why they keep singling out Paris Hilton. I guess because she was, like, arguably the most famous at the time wearing Von Dutch, and it's all she wore.
Can I just tell a quick Paris Hilton story? Because I have a friend, my friend Sam, was like legitimately friends with her, like in the 2000s. And Sam used to like have a party once a week. And I just have it on good authority from people who attended those parties, which I bartended. So I met Paris Hilton many times.
Okay.
She was always very nice to me, but apparently she's a big fucking asshole.
I have it on good authority. So I went to high school on the Upper East Side, as did Nikki Hilton and Paris. I was not there, so this is absolute hearsay.
Yeah.
But I have been told that they actually have said, like, don't you know who our grandfather is?
Oh my God.
And that's what I've heard.
Now
are all 16-year-olds assholes? Absolutely. They're all nightmares. But I can't imagine when you come from like an empire like that.
Also, it's like Paris, it's the Hilton. It's not your name isn't like Paris Four Seasons, okay? Your name isn't like Paris St. Regis.
Right, but like Hiltons are everywhere.
I know. But it would be like, my name is Patrick Kentucky Fried Chicken. Sure, there's a lot of money there, but it doesn't make me sound fancy.
It's not hotel money.
I know. What if my name were Patrick Kentucky Fried Chicken?
KFC for short. PKFC. So Ed is saying
There's a curse that Von Dutch put on this. And it imploded on everybody along the lines to varying degrees.
he hated Paris Hilton and all of Hollywood, and the real Von Dutch put a curse on the brand. And I'm like, Ed,
I know.
You lost me at the bottle of lube in your bed. You lost me at Greetings, Entree Voodoo. I was gone.
Yeah.
I was out the door.
Wait, what is he
shaped,
trying to say?
Like, welcome. Come on in.
Entree Voodoo.
Entree. He's just trying to be cute.
Yeah.
and quirky. He's his own manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about you is you're never going for any of that bullshit.
Like, don't also be a curmudgeon-y. Like,
I agree.
If you're gonna say greetings, Entree Voodoo, at least also be pleasant to be around.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? Put the lube away before the documentary
I
crew
would
shows
accept
up.
like, oh,
Yeah.
he said, then I'll leave the party thinking. All I say is greetings, Entree Voodoo. If you're pleasant to be around, it's different. But Ed like prides himself on being a curmudgeon, and he's mad at everybody.
And he leaves the lube in the bed.
I don't know what it was, but if lotion in a bottle of something. It's not a bottle of booze. It's like it's lotion of some kind.
Okay. Moving on.
Anyway,
so now we go to Venice Beach and we meet a guy named Bobby Vaughn.
Because they make everyone say, I'm Ed Boswell and I created Von Dutch. And then it's like, or did he? Because now we're going to Bobby Vaughn and he's like, hi, I'm Bobby Vaughn. I'm the creator of Von Dutch.
Yeah, and this guy's a character.
Yeah.
He's telling us that he's lived in 90 places in his life. He's never stayed in one place longer than 8 months.
You know, here's a phrase we haven't said in a long time.
What's that?
Unreliable narrator.
Totally.
Right now, Bobby takes the cake on that. But I mean, Ed's bad. They're all bad. They're all unreliable narrators except for maybe 2 people in this.
I agree.
But Bobby exaggerates.
And weirdly, Paris Hilton is one of the ones I'm believing.
1,000%.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But Bobby exaggerates a lot, and these stories don't need any exaggeration because it's all ridiculous. But he's a little bit of an exaggerator.
We get the Bobby backstory. He was adopted. He said his mom was Japanese, his dad was Mexican, and she said my mom held on to me for a week and then gave me to the state. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
But he was adopted by the Vaughn family, this like very white family. He's half Japanese, half Mexican, and he spends his whole childhood like feeling like an outsider and like he doesn't fit in, and he gets beat up at school.
So I was always like had that kind of race stuff going. So I was like just totally, different. I used to take 15 showers a day, bro, to try to scrub my skin off, man. I used to try to cut the little eye flaps out of my eyes because I was like part Asian. That's like the stuff I dealt with.
We get another one of those fucking stories where the kid's in the shower 15 times a day trying to wash off his skin color.
Right.
What the fuck?
Because it's not white. It's
I
like
know.
it's like dirty. The bully's words, not me.
Yeah. So in order to like save himself, Bobby finds surfing.
Yeah, and he like fell in love with it. But the one bad thing about surfing is that there was no like badass surfwear.
Yeah, so okay, I grew up on the beach, right? I grew up on Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Not as nice as everybody thinks it
I was
is.
gonna say not the California surfer beach. Different kind of beach.
No, but I grew up in a beach town, and so like these brands that he's calling like sissy brands, like Ocean Pacific and Billabong.
Yeah.
Those are the brands that every kid at my school wore. All like Tevas.
I thought they were Tevas.
I think we say Teva now.
Okay, I don't know.
I could be wrong. But I'm just saying, he thinks those brands are for sissies.
Quicksilver. He hates Quicksilver.
He hates Quicksilver. So he's like going around wishing he had surfer clothes that looked as cool as he does.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And he's seeing this skeleton fish everywhere.
Well, so it's a brand called the Bronze Age.
Uh-huh.
Now, this skeleton fish logo, the first thing I think of, you're not going to know any of this, so you can tune out if you want.
Okay, great.
There's a band.
I'm going to click on the Golden Girls. Let me know when you're ready for me.
Wait, I want to watch. Hold on.
It's the one with Rose's blind sister.
Oh, okay, then watch it.
Where she like almost accidentally sets the kitchen on fire and Blanche actually yells at her.
You can totally watch that one. I hate that episode. The first thing I think of is this band called Fishbone, which is their exact logo. And then the bassist from Fishbone is one of the many talking heads in this doc. That's all. We're back.
You're right. That is a bad episode.
It's terrible.
Holy shit.
It's horrible.
I forgot she's wearing that floral print.
It's way too much.
It's too much.
And a lesson we don't really need. Stop trying to teach me things. Just tell stories from the old country.
The thing about this clothing brand is that it was the anti-Ocean Pacific. When I tell you that when I was a little kid and my sister worked at a t-shirt store and we would try to make t-shirts that looked like they said OP on them because we couldn't afford the actual shirts.
I can't even place what Ocean Pacific is.
It feels like a very... Do you know what Varney shirts are?
No.
It's like another thing that Steve has never heard of either, but I grew up in a beach town, so...
If I saw it, I'd probably see
maybe.
it, right?
It's like the big V. They make sunglasses now.
I don't know what you're talking... The shirts look like a V?
No, never mind. Just moving on.
Oh my God. Okay.
Now we learn about this guy, Mike Cassell. So Mike Cassell is the guy behind this brand. What's it called?
The Bronze Age. Bronze Age.
If you fuck with him, you're in trouble. You know, he's got people.
I talked to people who were like, when I was coming up, I was scared of Mike Cassell.
Mike Cassell.
Mike Cassell.
Mike Cassell.
Mike Cassell. What I knew about him was he was crazy.
Michael Cassell. That's a bad dude.
All we know about this guy, Mike Cassell, is that he is the baddest fucking bastard this side of the ukulele or whatever.
This side of the Mississippi, I think, is the side of the ukulele. What? You're like you're down by the beach too much. We need you to come back to the real world. I don't know. I have no idea. TikTok, I don't know. Do you know? Help.
I'm gonna take it again.
Okay.
He's like the meanest bastard.
Yeah.
He's just the meanest bastard,
And
girl.
real big into the drug trade. Someone says, yeah, we used to call it the Cassell cartel days. And I'm like, oh shit, everyone was scared of him.
You don't cross this guy, he'll fucking kill you.
No. Now, we meet him now, and he's not doing well.
No, so like we get 10 minutes of everybody saying like what a badass bad guy
They
this
do
guy
that
was.
thing where it's like, Mike Cassell, Mike Cassell,
Yeah,
Mike Cassell.
yeah.
Oh my God. Everyone knew his name and everyone was terrified. of him.
And so we're in, quote, somewhere in Southern California, and we roll up on him like in a wheelchair. And like he's kind of a sweet old man. He's got a dog. He like lives in a trailer. He's wheeling himself in.
That German Shepherd, I'd love a lower third Hulu. I'd love to know this dog's name because he plays a major role.
Yeah.
This dog loves him and he loves his dog. Like
Yes.
his dog is a very old dog as well. This German Shepherd. I love German Shepherds so much. They're so great.
Yeah. Sorry, I went back to the Golden
I know,
Girls.
I saw you.
Yeah.
That's a terrible episode. That episode feels like it's an hour long. I'm good. I can reference
No, you're right.
old bands from the 90s and dogs for as long as I want. Like the dog like waits for him to get into the house. Like they just they love each other.
He's also smoking something which I think is like pain management medicine. It's
heroin.
Is that what that is?
I
mean,
believe
honestly,
so.
the opioids are used for pain management, and he's saying that he's like in constant pain. So it's just and then 2 seconds later, he's standing up and pissing into a jar.
He does that a couple times, yeah.
For some reason, like the fucking film crew thinks we need to see that and hear it. By the way,
People need to know that the way the world works isn't always fair, you know? And it sucks because, you know, that means you could put your whole life into something that you love, get it taken away, and too bad, you know?
I think they're really trying to show like this guy used to be badass and now he's a shell of a man, and I'm like, all right, I don't know.
I agree that they were trying to show us that. I did not see that. I think this man's got a lot of perspective. I think I thoroughly enjoyed everything he had to say. I really liked this guy.
Yeah, I just wonder like, what'd you get away with, Mike, back in the day?
Well, like, he's the kind of guy that you look at and you're like, you crazy?
Are you a murderer?
What's with the meat? You crazy?
Mike, let me ask you a question. Are you a murderer?
I'm like, do you know where the Gardner art
He
is?
like knows the Escobars.
I know. Or does he? Like,
he knows people who would kill for money. That's all I need to know.
Exactly.
Anyway, he also created Von Dutch Originals.
Yeah.
Mike
so,
also
like,
is the creator.
The other one, what's it called?
Oh, Bronze Age.
Bronze Age was like his thing.
Yes.
So like that's where he started.
Ed hates everybody. Ed the grump from the beginning. He hates Bobby. He hates Mike. Everyone hates each other.
Yes. And also Mike, the guy who's like not doing well now, he is also Asian and he talks about being bullied for being Asian.
Yeah.
Like everybody's life was really fucking hard.
Right. And And so he starts drug dealing. Like he feels like he has to be extra tough.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how he became the scary guy that everyone was talking about.
Yeah, he's selling drugs. This is when he says he meets the Escobar family, but he's living like a king. He's buying homes and Ferraris. I'll never understand the Ferrari of it all.
I won't either.
I will just, like, that's not what I'm spending my money on.
I don't, yeah. It's
You
like
know-
buying a boat. Why don't you throw your money in the ocean? It's the same exact thing. It's the same thing. Am I wrong?
I didn't know you hated boats.
I think I was like told that once, and now I've just like
It's like
used
throwing
it.
your money in the ocean.
Yeah. It's a lot of upkeep. So I'm told.
I didn't realize you hated boats. I didn't know that about you. But the point is, he's doing great. He's making a ton of money.
You know, he had all his cars and homes, and I'm just thinking like, man, he's living it like a king, you know? I was not planning on making that my living. I was thinking I'm gonna have to figure out ways to at least transition. What would I want to do in my life? And I decided I'd like to have a clothing company. There was a time when you had to figure out ways to launder the money.
He wants to get out of the drug trade, but also the fashion business. Turns out it's a really easy place to launder all his drug money.
It's a perfect way to launder your money. And I'm like, okay, that's new.
Yeah, so put a pin in this guy for a second, because now we got to meet Mark Rivas. Mark Rivas. You're right, Mark Rivas is his name.
Okay, great.
But that guy, Bobby, the one who was adopted,
yes,
the surfer, he knew this guy from high school. And this guy, Mark Rivas, was like another like scary badass.
He came from a family that was big into the gang scene and like into some really scary stuff.
Yeah, and Bobby tells us this insane story about the first time they, quote, caught action together. They were going into a Taco Bell, which, God bless them. But on the way in, they get jumped by this group of guys, and they're trying to fight them off. One of the guys takes a fucking screwdriver and stabs Mark through the leg. Mark rips the thing out and chases the guy down the street with it.
Says Bobby. I think they were into some scary stuff. I'm sure about half of that is true, but Bobby is an exaggerator, and he's an expert on rewriting history.
Fucking screwdriver as weapon. I will now live in fear of that for the rest of my life.
And the filmmaker's like, I'm sorry, how old were you? And Bobby's like, oh, like 9th grade, freshman year. And I'm like, Bobby.
He loves telling these stories.
Loves this. And he's exaggerating. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm not that sorry.
And then we learn that Mark and family buy Bobby a gun.
Through the family, I got a gun. It was like this small little 25 chrome that I could carry. And they were like, keep this, you know. It was like the protection level had to come up, because then I was associated.
They're like, you're part of the family now. Here's a gun, girl.
You're 14 years old. Take this illegal weapon.
Take this illegal weapon.
Yeah. So Mike Cassell, the guy with the dog, eventually gets arrested because, of course, right?
Yeah.
He gets 4 years for dealing cocaine, and he's sent to San Quentin. And he says he did a lot of thinking in prison.
Which I would imagine one does.
I would think.
You know?
And he's like, you know what? He keeps working on the clothing brand from prison.
He's telling us that he's meeting all these like artistic men in prison, and he's trading them cigarettes for T-shirt designs.
Yeah.
I'm like, pay those guys.
Please pay them.
You know what I
with
mean?
the promise of
Yes.
once I get out of here and blow. Because on the outside, the brand is blowing up.
Exactly.
Because it's also like a lot of people think it's fucking cool
Yeah.
that they're wearing designs that prisoners made.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yes. It feels exploitive on all sides.
Yeah, everyone's like, it's so cool. The guy's in prison for coke. Like, awesome, right? And I'm like, okay.
I know. The 80s were wild.
Yeah.
So now it's January 93, and we're back with Bobby, the one that like was with his friend that got stabbed in the leg with the screwdriver at
Right.
the Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So Bobby is telling us a story about that gun that the family bought him is in his locker
Yes.
in high school.
In high school.
And some kid comes up to him and is like, hey, I hear you're selling guns for the Mark Rivas family. And he's like, I've got one gun I'll sell you right now. Why is this not terrifying everybody?
I don't understand. But then they're like, you know what? Let's go do the sale at the local Burger King.
Right.
Where all good transactions happen in the parking lot of the Burger King.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? I'm
whatever.
gonna bring the gun with me to Burger King, where all the kids are hanging out after partying, by the way. So all these like 9th graders are wasted, and there's a gun present.
Well, and then exactly what you think would happen happened. Like something horrible happens.
Somebody gives Patrick a gun,
Right.
and I'm like walking through the parking lot, like holding
Fiddling with it to make sure you're not going to pull the trigger, and you fucking pull the trigger. And then so what happens is Bobby's like walking across the parking lot to do this like very serious deal, and he has the gun
in a Burger King parking lot.
They're 14 years old.
Yeah.
Bobby has the gun in his pocket. It accidentally goes off. Tons of people are around, and like minutes later, a melee breaks out, and it's just absolute like violent chaos.
And it's also just like how easily this all could have gone wrong. Like he could have
It
shot.
does go wrong.
You're right.
It goes incredibly wrong.
It started wrong. But I'm just saying, he could have shot himself in the leg. He could have shot someone somebody in the fucking face?
Well, what happens is that these gang members are like, is there a fight happening at the Burger King? And these like gang members come up and like join the melee.
But these guys just drove in to kill us. Like they were just like straight at it in the Astro van and they piled out. But Mark, he was just like, pulled his gun out. He's like, fuck that shit. When he shoots, the first two fire off. When someone's shot, you can feel the connection. You can hear it. I heard it. I was like, okay, he got hit. It was a straight fucking murder, bro.
It was a straight fucking murder.
Because one of the guys comes up and gets in Mark's face. Mark just pops him in the face with a gun. Now, again, all of this is told according to Bobby.
Right.
So how much do we believe? I don't know.
I don't know.
What we do know for sure is that the guy got shot and died. That's real.
And that Mark killed this guy. Mark,
Yes.
like teenage Mark killed some gang member.
Yeah, so like everyone takes off running.
So it's like Bobby and his friend Mark and some other guy, and they're like on the run, right? Like they need to like get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, because Bobby is saying like, my friend Mark who just shot this guy in the face, we got to get him not just out of town, we got to get him out of the country.
To Mexico. They're going to cross the border.
They're in a car drinking tequila, driving to Mexico. All of these bad ideas.
With a loaded gun.
With a load. What could possibly go wrong?
Teenagers
I know.
are nightmares.
Like, oh my fucking God. And I'm like, where's Bobby's family? The one that adopted him.
I know. Well, he's just rebelling because he just dealt with all of this like shitty stuff when he was a kid. So then like the cops are on their tail. All of these hammered people are telling Bobby,
I got some stupid little sawed-off shotgun, and Mark's got like talking shit, like, dude, don't fucking be a bitch. We ain't going down. You just gotta blast this cop. He's wanted for murder. I'm fucking sitting with Jimmy. How am I gonna get out of this situation? So I'm sitting there and I start really quick thinking like, fuck, I ain't killing no cop. How can I blaze both these guys? And I remember just going like, kind of looking at these guys like, fuck, how do I get, like, or just kill myself at this point.
No, maybe I'll just kill myself.
Then they like outrun the cops somehow. The cops are like, fuck it. We'll like go down some other road. According to Bobby. Then they just start like crying tears of relief and getting more hammered drinking tequila.
I'm just saying that like these two incredibly violent guys spend a lot of time getting wasted, sobbing, and holding each other.
I would too,
There's
honestly.
so much holding each other between these two men.
I know.
It makes even me
Mark
uncomfortable.
and Bobby. It's a toxic codependent relationship. We'll get to it in a little bit.
But they end up driving to Mexico where there's this tearful goodbye scene.
More
where
holding. More
holding.
crying, more holding.
In the middle of the woods in the middle of the night. Like how fucking romantic.
Drunk,
totally.
on tequila. That could be a very dark, sad drunk.
No,
tequila
tequila's
drunk?
the upper. Tequila's the only alcohol that's an upper.
Well, some people go dark.
Okay. Whoa!
I've seen it.
I was gonna say it
It's
seems
real
like you
bad.
had some personal experience.
I've been around people where I'm like, oh God, your face just changed. Okay, I'm gonna close out. I'm not doing this.
yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore.
yeah,
like
yeah.
you've crossed. Oh shit, no.
Yeah,
I'm out.
yeah.
This was fun, and then your face changed and got weird, and now you're mad at everything, and I'm gonna go.
Bye. You're not talking to me. I didn't do that.
No.
Okay.
No.
I've never. Well, maybe once.
I'm talking about redacted.
But the point is, Bobby is giving this guy Mark a hug, and then Mark runs into Mexico to live his life on the run, having just committed this murder in a Burger King parking lot like 12 hours ago.
And then Bobby's like, man, I gotta make some changes, huh?
Yeah,
like, I can't live like this. And he decides no more gangs, no more guns, like just surfing, and that's it. Because surfing really does make him very, very happy.
Yeah. So we're back with Mike, the one who did a lot of thinking in prison while exploiting his cellmates for their art.
For Bronze Age.
Remember how much I liked this guy like 10 minutes ago?
I wasn't going to say anything. It's fun watching your journey. You love him, you hate him. You love him, you hate him.
On a dime with me. You never can tell.
I said last week, I was like, you're fickle.
I know. I'm going to love Paris Hilton by the end of this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. But in between, you're going to go back and forth. Who knows?
So Bronze Age is going great.
But basically, Mike Cassell is out of prison and does the same thing. Like, Bobby and Mike Cassell are kind of on the same trajectory because they're both like, all right, things got to change. I'm going to focus on what I love. Bobby is surfing. Mike Cassell is the brand.
But then we learn that Bobby just like loves this Bronze Age brand. So he somehow just calls up Mike and is like, bro, I want to come work for you.
Right. So it's 3 years after these horrible things happened to both of them. Bobby's now 19 years old.
I know.
He's still so young. And he calls Bronze Age and he's like, hey, I want to rep you like I'm a surfer. I just want to be involved.
I don't know what that means, rep you. I'm like, are you trying to model? Because we see pictures of Bobby back in the day. He's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, but sometimes like skaters and surfers would be like, oh, I represent this company, so they would only wear those clothes. So he's saying like, look, I'm going to be around. I'm sort of making a name for myself in the surf world. Can I just like wear your clothes and that'll like, then we kind of just can help each other out?
I also love that Mike, the owner of the company, was like,
thinking like, oh, he looks like a guy who dances at Chippendales. We don't deal with those kind of guys.
He's like too hot. He no homos him right on the spot.
Right, he's like too like girly looking
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, like too
he's
pretty.
Yeah, whatever.
I get that all the time. I know what
You
that
know.
kind of discrimination
You're both
is like.
blonde.
I know.
I get it. It's hard
I know.
being you.
It really is. I just
hard.
wish that people could see me on the inside.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've seen it. It's pretty good. I like it. I like what's in there. Nice
Much.
big heart. I love it.
But Mike ends up kind of like adopting Bobby, and they have this like great connection. Mike says he's kind of like a dad. He's going to show him the ropes, and he's like, kid, look, I'm going to teach you the ways of the fashion world, and if you like it and you're good at it, you can either work with me or you can go do your own thing.
And also, Bobby genuinely loved this brand. Like,
Yeah.
there was no bullshit. He loved the clothes. He really, really wanted to be involved. And I think that goes a long way with a guy like Mike.
Same, and I think that Bobby and Mike and Mike's girlfriend Janelle all developed this kind of family rapport that they all kind of needed.
Right. So Janelle is here. Janelle is Mike's ex-wife.
I love Janelle. She's drinking champagne in the middle of the day.
Yeah, she is sitting on a sea of pillows on the floor, drinking champampagne. I love her.
I know, me too.
I've been in that position, just sitting on the floor, drinking, having a conversation. But she's popping champagne, and she's like, woo! And she was like, I was going to shake the champagne, but I didn't. And I'm like, oh, Janelle needs every last drop to get through this story.
Yeah, it's
And I
kind
don't
of
blame her.
Yeah, I agree. This is where we start to learn that like Mike, who's running this like really successful clothing brand, like from the ground, is really fucking bad at business. So we learn about this guy, Irving Cass.
Mike Cassell did a transaction with a guy named Irving Cass, who at the time basically bought Bronze Age for about $35,000, which was the amount of inventory actually that Bronze Age had on hand, didn't value anything else, including the trademarks or anything else, and hired Mike Cassell to work for Bronze Age.
You got $35,000 worth of t-shirts right here. I'll give you $35,000 and I'll own the brand and you now work for me.
All he does is pay for the inventory, not the value of the brand and the street cred.
And like Mike doesn't know any better, so he just goes along with it.
Also, you know who tells us this? Stephen Lowe, lawyer and piano prodigy, because he's playing a sonata or whatever for us. He is Bobby and Mike's attorney, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So, all right, we'll
Yeah.
get there. But he's just like playing piano, and he's like, that's good, right?
I know, and I love that the producer was like, you know what? These are 3 really long episodes. Let's leave that in.
Let's leave.
Let's
This
let's
could have
leave
been
the
a
piano.
42-minute primetime special.
Totally.
So this guy who comes in and just buys the inventory, he then fires Mike Cassell.
Yeah.
Bankrupts the company, files Chapter 11, and Mike Cassell is devastated. He's like, I built this up when I was in prison. I really, really tried.
It's like everyone's got to stop selling their shit at the first opportunity. You know what I mean?
No one ever, one person does, but no one ever has a lawyer look over a piece of paper.
I
Everyone's just
know.
like, yeah, okay. Like, no one's really thinking ahead because Mike's like, oh, 35 grand today? That sounds great. Not thinking ahead.
We get the round robin. Everyone's like,
Mike Cassell absolutely had a very strange Midas touch where everything he touched turned to gold, and then 2 seconds later, it turned into a big pile of shit. And that is like the best way to describe Mike Cassell.
everything he touched turned to gold, and then it turned to shit right after.
Right away.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? It's like, Mike, you're the ideas person.
I know.
You got to get yourself a Steve.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without a Steve, I'd be a Mike.
Someone who loves Excel spreadsheets.
I know.
That's what you need in your life.
And someone who loves you and tolerates
Right.
the fact that you take out the half and half and leave it on the counter, never to go back into the refrigerator.
He loves you so much.
I know.
You do shit like that
I know.
all the time, and he loves you so much. You like make coffee and then make a mess and leave everything out, and then
I
you're
know.
like, bye.
Yes, that is true.
I'm saying he loves you.
We're a good match.
I agree completely. So it's 1996, and Mike and Bobby are still working together, even though like their brand is now gone.
Yeah.
And they're at this fashion trade show, and they're looking for the next big thing. And Ed Boswell, the grump from the beginning with the lube in his bed, entree, voodoo, or whatever, he's there at this trade show selling the Von Dutch patches.
Yeah, so again, this Ed Boswell guy knows the artist's family, whatever his name is, Kenneth, whatever, knows and he's got this, everyone's got a good idea. Everyone sees this artist has created this really cool thing and we're going to do something with it. And Boswell is like selling the patches.
Just the patches, not on anything.
Yes.
Just the patches.
And so Mike says to Bobby, look, while we still have some clout in this world before everybody realizes I stole my business for $35,000 and a bunch of t-shirts, we got to make our next big move. So they go up to Ed Boswell and they're like, we want this.
And Ed's like, all right, cool. Not only do I have the blessing of the family, but check out this manifesto that Von Dutch wrote where he just rants and raves about a great many things. We'll get to some of them later.
Nobody read that manifesto real close.
Right. Oh, and right now they just read what they wanted to read, which was basically like,
use any of my stuff you want. Nothing is original. Everything is in the subconscious. We just tap it sometimes and think we have originated something. Genes make us more or less interested in certain things, but nothing is truly original. Copyrights and patents are mostly an ego trip.
Nothing is really original anyway. You think it is, but it's not. Just take it.
Just take it. And like his shit is really fucking cool. Like it really is cool.
So Mike and Ed have now met, right?
Yeah.
Ed tells us, I came up with the idea for the clothing line right away. Mike says, no. All Ed the Grump had was the patches, and I made it a clothing line.
Right. Like he was like, I had the vision. And like I kind of believe Mike. Like he comes from the clothing line world.
I
This
agree.
makes sense to me.
Also, Ed, if you were doing a clothing line, you would have had a clothing line.
Right.
Instead of just selling patches.
Exactly.
Come on, Ed.
And so Mike, the clothing line guy, doesn't have any money, and apparently he's like a former felon, so
Right.
he can't get an institution to lend him money.
They can't get money on the up and up. So.
Right. Thank you. That was a very circuitous way of me getting
Yeah,
around
because they're
to
all
that.
criminals.
Right.
And also we hear like everyone's a racist, which is very true.
Yes.
So like they're really just up against it, but also they're criminals.
Right. But so Mike goes to his brother, and his brother, he had like lent his brother some of his drug money, and that got his brother's business off the ground, and now his brother's business is really successful.
Yeah.
So the brother returns the favor, gives him the cash.
Great. And everything, like Mike starts the brand and
Yeah.
he's making the products, shirts, jeans, hats. He was on fire, says
And
his ex-wife.
he's saying the only reason I have any business at all is because I just know what cool is, which I was kind of like, I admire that because I am the opposite.
But he says like he is very authentic
Yeah.
and he has a lot of attention to detail. So he tried to make things in the spirit of Von Dutch. So Ed the Grump is here to say like, that's not true, but Mike really takes it to heart. And I do believe Mike in this.
And we get a little bit of the history, which normally I think is boring, but this is really fucking cool. We get the story. Like, if you remember the Von Dutch clothes, especially at the beginning, they had a look.
Yeah.
And they had a feel.
Yeah.
The t-shirts came from military history, and all jeans, waist overalls, and denim were created out of the need for workwear when building the infrastructure of the railroads for America. That's how the first denim was created.
So mechanics, they had like rock hard shit. So it's like everything was always hard. So hard denim made sense. I was like, this is all American, man. You know what I mean?
Mike says the jeans and the denim were created out of like an homage to the needs of what the workers would wear building the railroads.
Right. And
You
like
know?
mechanics and
Yeah.
people who were really using their hands. Although we do learn that the first ever round of Von Dutch was just Dickies jeans and they ripped the Dickies labels off and sewed Von Dutch.
I
onto
think
them.
that is such a... And everyone who tells that story is like, oh, no one
Oh,
knows.
shit.
Oh, I'm just telling you that no one
Chanel
knows.
with the open bottle
Yeah.
of champagne. She's like, what's the statute of limitations on that? Can
Totally.
I say that now? Now, meanwhile, the brand is growing and booming, and Bobby, the unreliable narrator,
Yeah.
falls in love.
We meet her. Her name is Eli Jane. Bobby is telling us the story that he meets her at like a trade show.
Yeah.
Apparently, she walked into the room and just everyone wanted a piece of this girl.
Right.
She was
She's
so
18
gorgeous,
years old.
so hot. Yeah.
She was very much into meth at the time.
Yeah.
She hasn't done meth in 21 years, to which I say, congratulations, Eli. I mean that sincerely.
Uh-huh.
She also says, I'm watching Breaking Bad right now, so meth is like in my life a lot. And also good for her. It must be maybe hard or triggering to watch that show as excellent as Breaking Bad is. So good
Yes.
for you, Eli.
Yeah, and like they both kind of described like she was like the hot number at this trade show, and everyone wanted to talk to her, and she wanted to talk to Bobby, and Bobby wanted to talk to her, and they go have like dinner together, and Bobby is like head over heels instantly.
Totally. And so Eli becomes one of their very first models.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be the first something
Uh-huh.
because everyone's like, I'm the creator of Von Dutch. I'm the creator of Von Dutch. And then she goes, I was the first model and their first investor. And I'm like, I thought the brother was the first investor, but it doesn't matter. I'm not
It
going to
doesn't
get in
matter.
the weeds about
You know
who
what?
was investing when.
None of you are getting any money, so it
It
doesn't matter.
really doesn't matter.
Who cares?
And then we learn like Eli's story about how she got into substances and just like, it's very scary to me.
It is like she was a kid that like was a gymnast and she then became a diver. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
She wanted to be an actress, so she gets into modeling, and like she just sounds like she didn't have a lot of like parenting.
She just says, and these are her words, not
Yeah.
mine. She says,
By the time I was a junior in high school, I was like roofieing myself. Like that's what we did in Florida, the crew that I hung out with. Like we would give each other roofies. And then by the time I was a senior in high school, I had OD'd on crack. And I didn't even know it was crack. I was a child doing like heavy, hardcore drugs.
in high school, I used to roofie myself. That's just what we did in Florida.
I know.
Her words, not mine. I'm sorry,
I know.
Florida.
But like at the time that she meets Bobby, she's like still in her addiction. And those
Yes.
are her words too. And she
Yes.
says that like they meet, they have this magical night, and the next day at the trade show, she's already like modeling some of the clothes, but she's doing like her gymnastics
I
routine.
know, like backflips.
Doing backflips, and Bobby's like, you need to settle down. It's as though I wandered in and was modeling the clothes.
She's like, what did I do? It was a round off back handspring, round off. It's like that moment in Bring It On.
Totally.
And And that's what she does. But then, she's 18.
Yeah.
And she gets pregnant at 19. And Bobby is such a piece of shit in this moment.
Yeah.
Because the way Eli describes it is that they were like in a car near like some overlook. So she is like, hey, like, what about like condoms or protection? And he's like, don't worry, baby. My sperm doesn't work. He doesn't say sperm.
No.
Sorry,
but it's
Mom.
like he's like shooting blanks or whatever.
Whatever. His boys can't swim, whatever you want to say.
He's just lying to her.
But that's such bullshit
I know.
to get a girl to have sex with you without a condom. She's 19 years old and she gets pregnant.
She is pregnant. And then she has the baby at 30 weeks. Like the baby is 3 pounds, 6 ounces. Like, Daisy. Daisy's like a tiny person.
Yeah.
She was 8 pounds when she was born.
I was like 7 pounds, 6 ounces,
Yeah.
I think.
It's 6 ounces.
7 pounds. Is that right? Anyway.
But the point is, like, there was a 50-50 chance this baby was going to make it.
And the baby's name is Elijah.
Yeah, and like Bobby
was super happy. He was super passionate about what he was doing. He was like so proud of his son, and he finally found his purpose.
At that point, I was just driven like no tomorrow, bro. I was talking 20-hour, 22, 23-hour days, man. And changing diapers, all of it. This is serious now.
loved being a dad, loved having a baby. So at least there's that.
Yeah, the baby changes his life, which I'm sure it does.
Yes.
But then, more importantly, according to Bobby, he meets Jerry Anderson, who's Pamela Anderson's brother.
Which I was like, news to me that Pam Anderson's got a brother.
I know. Well, Bobby makes it clear, I had to really put a lot of time in with Jerry so that he didn't know I was totally using him to get to his famous hot sister.
But like, I'm sorry, Jerry, like that's your lot in life. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you don't want people trying to use you to get to your sister, don't hang out with dirtbags like Bobby and don't like tell them your last name.
And I feel like Bobby's not that good of an actor. Jerry knew 100% that Bobby was using him to get to Pam, to then get to Tommy.
And I gotta
Tommy
also
Lee.
say that like Bobby probably had ins to cool parties and Pam was probably sick of him being the hanger-on for her.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone's getting what they want here.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think so.
You don't live in Southern California unless you're like these people.
Although Pam Anderson is not here to confirm nor deny any of this.
Yeah.
So who the hell knows?
That's true. Shockingly, Pam Anderson didn't want to sit down for the Hulu doc about the Von Dutch Company.
I mean, she's been through enough.
Including opening night in Chicago.
I know, which we missed. We were going to do like a field trip, and then I don't know, something happened, but we didn't. We ended up not going.
I feel like I am less gay having not seen Pam Anderson in Chicago on Broadway.
Missed opportunity.
It's true.
She'll be back.
Yeah.
So according to Bobby,
yeah,
he and Pam Anderson become friends, and he's like pitching her the Von Dutch brand.
No,
and then,
wait, listen. We're told, like, remember that show VIP she was on?
Uh-huh.
So we're told that like he goes to visit her on set,
right?
And she thinks he's so hot.
So she brings me in her trailer. Then I'm kind of like wondering, like, man, is this shit, like, am I gonna mack her? Like, because I'm like, cause she's so hot. She tells security to stay out, and we're in there alone, and she has a stack of denim. She starts changing, like, dude, she's like changing in front of me. I'm like, oh my. And then I remember one funny thing though. She's sitting there like with these capris, they were too tight. She goes, I don't like this fit. It was a Frankie B pair. And she goes like this, and she grabs this toothbrush. She goes, look, it's a toothbrush holder. Like, it was just a funny experience. She put this like toothbrush in her ass.
She invites him back to her trailer.
And like gets undressed in front of us.
Kicks
It's a very
everybody
disgusting
else
story.
out. It's so fucking, and I don't believe a fucking word
And
of
this
it.
is where we get the on-screen text being like, Pam Anderson did not comment on that. And I'm like, and she shouldn't have to because I know it's bullshit.
Right.
The truth is that somehow through Pam Anderson, Bobby is introduced to Tommy Lee, which is really what he wanted anyway.
100%. And so we get this crazy story that Bobby gets invited over to Tommy Lee's house.
Called Tommyland.
Tommy, I cannot.
Barf.
I cannot.
Barf.
I do think he is so sexy.
Of course. You know what I think? I think he's an excellent drummer. That's the thing.
Yeah,
He
great.
would go upside down and he would throw the...
He just has, like, if I'm picking the body I want, it's that.
Really?
It's that, like, tiny, skinny little body. Like, that's the body. I will never have that body, but, like, he has the dream body for me.
Okay.
So,
all right.
It's so funny. They show up a part of the Pam Anderson, Tommy Lee, like, sex tape in this documentary.
Yeah.
Steve walked by me at 4:30 in the morning as...
I thought you were at work, he says.
He's like, are you watching the Pam Anderson sex tape?
Yeah.
I was like,
No.
I'm not, I promise.
Well, we'll do that documentary whenever it comes out because there's a doc with her. We'll do it.
Yeah. So anyway, he shows up to Tommyland. Now, Tommy is worth $80 million. I didn't know this. We're told he sold the masters to all of his, like...
Well, Motley Crue was gigantic.
I guess, but like 80
No,
million...
like they were.
Yeah?
They were huge.
And I guess that was back when people had to buy albums and stuff.
Of course. I mean, they were massive. So the fact that he was like, fuck it, I don't need the master, is just selling it for the cash.
$80 million bucks.
Is very Tommy Lee.
He already sold the masters and had like $80 million. He didn't care. It was just sick crib, nothing but time, and then just all he was doing was macking girls and cruising.
He lays around the house. He's got women all over the place. He's
And he's
drinking and
hammered.
doing drugs. And I'm like, please, God, never let me get that rich.
No.
You know what I mean?
He doesn't know what to do with his money. He
Yeah.
actually, when people are like, he's so rich, he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do with it.
It's true.
So he gets so drunk that Tommy forgets that he's filming Cribs on MTV, that an entire film crew is coming to his house to get a tour of his home. Now, normally...
At like 8 a.m. So Bobby has spent the night, and it's like Tommy Lee went to bed 2 hours ago.
He's just like upstairs.
Yeah.
Probably not in bed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying, TikTok? Probably not in bed. So probably not sleeping, I should say. But normally someone would like make sure the house is pristine.
Yes.
They had people cleaning it all week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
yeah.
make sure. I would clean it, but Mariah Carey's not cleaning her own house.
Exactly.
Okay? That was the episode where she was doing on the treadmill in her heels.
Is that
Mariah
right?
Carey, yeah. Anyway, Cribs was wild. Cribs was like an insane
It was
television
wild.
show.
Yeah. But so like the producer knocks on the door.
And he's like, what?
Yeah. But according to Bobby answers the phone and she's like, we're here to film. We're filming all fucking day. He's got to go wake up Tommy Lee. And he's like, Tommy Lee's so fucked up. He's just giving him more booze to like.
He like does a shot to wake him up. But Bobby really thinks on his feet, hammered or not, because we see Tommy hammered.
Yes.
And he's by like the koi pond and he's trying to be all deep and he's like, this is where I go, to get rid of the madness and mayhem, you know what I mean?
Of Tommyland.
Right, of Tommyland. Like the madness of the self-inflicted
I
madness
know.
and mayhem, and you love every second of it. But Bobby is like, hey, bro, or however they talk, wear this Von Dutch shirt.
It's not like, hey, girl.
Hey, girl. No,
Hey,
it's
girl.
like, hey, bro, like, no homo, but like, can you take your shirt off and put this one on? And so he does. So basically...
I always had all the shit in the house. And so I had some samples of just like my shirts, Von Dutch Customs. But I stretched the logo and made it a little more streamlined and made it like bigger across the whole thing with customs. So I had fresh ones and I go, Tommy, dude, you gotta rock this shit right now. He's like, fuck yeah. And then I put all the girls, I'm like, look, give me your wife beaters. So I put stickers to make it look like they're wearing our shit. So if you look, all the girls, like in the episode, everybody's wearing Von Dutch. It became like the whole Von Dutch set. It was sick.
Everyone's wearing Von Dutch, and we see Bobby in the footage of the MTV.
It's crazy. And he tells us that like it's like the most replayed episode of Cribs because Tommy Lee just turned the whole set into a party.
Right. It was the best episode. You couldn't have scripted it.
Right. I mean, like, and everyone is decked out in Von Dutch.
But MTV was like, let's just show up.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm sure they knew Tommy Lee wasn't going to be prepared, but they get the best episode they could get.
But I mean, like that alone should give this fucking Bobby guy some percentage of the company like forever and ever. You know?
Because he loved his job and he really like, I don't know, he was super into it, but it all goes off the rails very, very soon.
Yes.
So now everyone's like, where's Grumpy Ed in all this, right? Like, where the hell is he? And he hates everyone. They never got along.
Grumpy Ed was the guy that was selling the patches. And like he was one who like had the deal with the family and then Mike came in and sort of like got the deal.
And he's like, I know the spirit of Von Dutch and he'd hate all of this.
Yes.
So like the way Grumpy Ed tells it is that like they kick him out of the company. Like they all started the company. They kick Ed out.
Yeah.
They don't give him any money or percentage. And Ed doesn't fight this or get a lawyer. He's just mad about it forever.
Which is insane because if you're Ed and he knows like the legalese of this all,
he knows the family.
Right.
And he knows that like he can very easily prove like I had these Von Dutch patches and like I should get something. He doesn't do anything. He's just mad about it forever.
He says he's owed 1% of everything in perpetuity forever. At one point, this company's like a $400 million a year company.
Yeah.
You know?
He's just mad.
Yeah. So like business is kind of booming or it's starting to boom.
But everyone hates each other.
And they don't have a Steve.
And they don't like this is what I was saying to you via text this morning.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to start a business. No one wants to run a business.
Yes.
And no one wants to learn how to run a business. We see this all the time in things we cover.
I didn't. I brought Steven.
And I said in things we cover.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like in general, like I get that. Like it's hard to start a business because you have to be good at everything.
Of course, and no one is good at everything.
No,
so that's why like, it takes a village, everyone.
100%.
Like it takes a lot of people to do. You have to recognize like I'm good at this part, I'm bad at this part. I need someone who's awesome at the things I can't do.
Totally. And so when they realize they're just like spending money, they've got no budget, they've got nothing going on, they need a money person to come in. Enter a guy named Tony Sorensen.
Right. And that's the end of episode 1.
Yes.
Wait till you meet Tony Sorensen.
Oh my God, this guy is, it's a great cliffhanger for like our part 2, which by the way is available right now and ad-free on the Patreon.
I'm just going to say this guy has motorcycles on shelves. That's the kind of money we're talking about with
Totally.
Tony. We'll tell you all about him next week.
It's off the rails. Patreon fam, you can go get episode 2 right now, ad-free at the $5 level on the Patreon. It'll be our regular episode next week.
Yep.
Also on the Patreon, over 350 full ad-free bonus episodes to download and binge right this second.
Yeah, so all the long-form series like The Vow and Heaven's Gate and all that stuff. And also like after parties.
Yes.
And we have like monthly surprises and all fun stuff. It's a party.
Really a
Everyone's
party.
invited.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok. I say it every week. Like the funniest moments that you just heard in today's episode will be on TikTok like today or tomorrow. So
boy.
go follow, go find the funny moments. It's so worth doing. It's True Crime Obsessed Pod on the TikTok.
Okay.
Join the Facebook group if you want like a community and you want to make friends.
Yeah, True Crime Obsessed Podcast Discussion Group. True Crime Obsessed Podcast Discussion Group on Facebook. Woo, mouthful.
Yeah, that's it. There's no next time on because we're going right into part 2.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for the outtakes.
Okay.
We'll see you in a minute.
All right, see you soon, Tony.
All right, bye.
Bye. Are you okay? Did you just hit yourself?
No, I that thing under your tongue that holds your tongue in place,
Uh-huh.
it got like stuck between my teeth and it
Oh,
really
God.
hurt.
Are you okay? That sounds horrible.
That thing got stuck. The little thing that holds my tongue
That
down
some
got
people
stuck.
have pierced. I don't understand it. Sorry. Doesn't it not hurt as much now? Because now you're thinking about something else. Did that help at all? Little
is it
distraction therapy?
bleeding?
You okay?
I think I'm gonna live.
Okay.
Okay.
PKFC is back again.